Who are these people buying homes, driving new cars, and stressing over a canceled trip to Cancun? Seriously, where did they come from, and why does their kitchen always look newly renovated? Picture two friends, same city, similar paycheck. They start working around the same time. 10 years later, one has a down payment, savings, and room to breathe. The other has maxed out cards, a car payment, and a checking account that looks like a crime scene. The difference is not always luck, and it is definitely not always a rich parent. A lot of the time, it is 100 boring money decisions repeated for years. That is good news, because boring decisions can be changed. Here is the part nobody posts. Earning more does not automatically fix feeling broke. Every raise can quietly become a bigger apartment, a newer phone, 6 forgotten subscriptions, and another monthly payment. The paycheck grows. The breathing room does not. That is lifestyle inflation, and Boo knows it personally. Payday hits! For one glorious second, Boo is a financial genius. Look at that balance, magnificent, powerful, almost responsible. Then rent, insurance, delivery apps, credit cards, and one surprise repair attack from 5 directions. 3 days later, the money is gone. Boo stares at the balance like it committed a crime. So we are going back to basics. Why do prices rise? Why does debt get expensive? And how can Boo build a system that leaves money behind instead of wondering where it went? Make money decisions before money problems make them for you. Inflation is not just stuff got expensive. It is the average rise in prices across the things people buy. When prices rise faster than your pay, the same paycheck buys less. Think of your dollar as a ruler that quietly gets shorter. The number printed on it stays $1. Its reach does not. Last year, Boo's grocery basket reached the register with eggs, coffee, fruit, and actual optimism. This year, the same budget arrives with instant noodles and a motivational banana. This is the difference between nominal pay and real purchasing power. Nominal pay is the number on the paycheck. Real purchasing power is what that number can actually buy. If your pay rises 4% while your personal costs rise 6%, the number got bigger, but your life got tighter. Congratulations, Boo! You received a raise and somehow unlocked the premium version of being broke. National averages matter, but your budget does not live inside an average. A renter in Miami, a parent in Ohio, and a student in Seattle can feel very different pressure. Your personal inflation depends on where your money goes. If rent is half your spending, a rent increase hits like a truck. If you drive all day, gas and repairs matter more. The first move is not arguing with the headline. It is finding the 3 categories that are actually squeezing you. Boo's biggest problem is not one ridiculous coffee. It is the stack of fixed payments that arrives before he makes a single choice. Rent, phone, insurance, car, minimum payments, software, streaming, gym, cloud storage, and a premium meditation app that now causes stress. Fixed costs remove options. The more of your paycheck they claim on day 1, the less room you have for emergencies, goals, or one normal human mistake. Before Boo can fix the squeeze, he needs a baseline, not a fantasy budget. Not the month when he ate free office pizza and bought nothing, a normal month. He looks back through bank and card activity and sorts each charge into essentials, flexible spending, debt, and future goals. The point is not to feel guilty about every taco. It is to see the shape of the system. Boo discovers that 3 small recurring charges equal his entire weekly grocery budget. He also finds a service he has paid for since a free trial in a previous emotional era. Information does not judge him, it gives him levers. Here is a test that catches lifestyle inflation before it moves in and starts using your Wi-Fi. When income rises, wait 30 days before upgrading anything. Keep part of the raise invisible by moving it automatically on payday. You do not have to save every new dollar. Enjoy some. The trick is choosing the split before the new money turns into a new recurring bill. Boo chooses 50 for future Boo, 30 for current Boo, and 20 for the tax category called Why Did I Order That? Chapter 2. Money has a rental price. When you borrow, interest is what you pay to use someone else's money. On a credit card, that price is expressed as an annual percentage rate, or APR. The higher the rate and the longer the balance survives, the more expensive yesterday becomes. Boo buys a $1,200 laptop on a card because he needs it for work. Reasonable. Then he pays only the minimum. The balance moves, but barely. Interest keeps joining the run. Minimum payments can protect the account from being late, but they are not a finish line. Paying more than the minimum generally reduces interest cost and pays the balance faster. Boo is running hard, sweating dramatically, and the debt treadmill is still in the same room. When market interest rates are high, new borrowing usually becomes more expensive. Credit cards, auto loans, and mortgages do not all move in exactly the same way, but the direction matters. Expensive borrowing can cool spending. It can also make a household with existing balances feel trapped. The practical question is not what did the financial news guy say, it is what rate am I paying, on which balance, and what does one extra dollar do here? An emergency fund is not a trophy. It is distance between a surprise and a debt. A recent Federal Reserve survey found that about 6 in 10 adults could cover a $400 emergency using cash or its equivalent. That means a lot of people could not. For Boo, one tire, one urgent dentist visit, or one broken appliance can become a balance that keeps charging rent. The first goal is not perfection. It is a small buffer that prevents the next ordinary disaster from becoming expensive debt. Start with a number small enough to believe. Maybe it is one insurance deductible. Maybe it is 1 week of essential expenses. Put it in a separate savings account so it is available, but not constantly waving from the checking screen. Automate a transfer on payday even if it is boring, especially if it is boring. Boo does not need heroic discipline every Friday. He needs a tiny robot that moves money before Weekend Boo starts making suggestions. Not every emergency is actually unexpected. The car needs tires. The dog needs a checkup. Holidays appear on the same dates every year with astonishing consistency. A sinking fund turns a large future bill into small regular deposits. Estimate the cost, divide it by the months remaining, and move that amount regularly. The estimate can be imperfect. Boo creates small buckets for car repair, annual insurance, gifts, and the dentist. Now the bill arrives and the money is already waiting. It is less dramatic television, but dramatically better life. What if the problem is no longer theoretical? Boo's minimum payments are bigger than the money left after essentials. The phone rings. He ignores it. It rings again. He considers changing his name to Steve and moving into the woods. Stop. Shame is expensive because it delays action. List every balance, rate, minimum, due date, and consequence. Then list income and essential expenses. A problem written down is still unpleasant, but it has edges. A fog does not. Boo expects the card company to answer with thunder, wolves, and a judge. Instead, there is a person. If you cannot make a card payment, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau recommends acting right away and contacting the issuer. Explain why, what you can afford, and when normal payments might resume. Ask what hardship or payment options exist. Do not pay a company that guarantees it can magically erase debt. And do not disappear on legitimate creditors. Silence removes options. Once minimums and essentials are covered, one common payoff strategy is the avalanche. Send extra money to the highest interest balance first while paying the required minimums on the others. Mathematically, that can reduce interest cost compared with attacking cheaper debt first. Boo likes the math. He puts on ski goggles indoors and points at the biggest APR like it insulted his family. Another approach is the snowball. Target the smallest balance first. It may not minimize interest in every case, but closing an account can create a fast, visible win. That momentum helps some people continue. The best spreadsheet is useless if you quit in week 2. Choose the method you can follow. Keep the rules visible and roll each finished payment into the next target. Boo pays off one tiny balance and celebrates like he just acquired a Fortune 500 company. A payoff plan fails if new balances keep arriving. Pause card use where possible. Remove saved cards from delivery and shopping apps. Cancel subscriptions you do not use. Sell the object you bought for the person you plan to become. Yes, Boo, we mean the professional bread maker. You made bread once. It was legally a brick. Cutting is not punishment. It is temporary oxygen. Protect housing, food, utilities, transport, insurance, and health before cosmetic spending. Cutting has a floor. Income has more room. Overtime, a better role, freelance work, selling unused equipment, or renegotiating pay can accelerate the plan. But extra income without a destination can vanish as quickly as the old paycheck. Decide the job before the money arrives. Buffer, urgent bill, highest priority debt, or a necessary purchase paid in cash. Boo's side gig earns $200. Future Boo receives it before Restaurant Boo can smell it. Spending apps are designed to remove friction. One tap, one swipe, one cheerful confirmation, and a box begins traveling toward your house before your judgment has located its shoes. So Boo adds friction back. He removes stored cards, turns off promotional alerts, and keeps non-essential items on a 48-hour list. If he still wants the item later and it fits the plan, fine. If not, the urge expires without becoming a payment. Boo's list once contained a countertop ice machine, a tiny projector, and something advertised only as tactical socks. 48 hours later, society survived without them. A good money system should be easier to follow than to escape. One account receives income and pays fixed bills. A separate account handles weekly spending. Savings moves automatically. A short weekly check catches problems before the due date. No 30-tab spreadsheet is required. Boo uses one page. Money in, essentials, flexible spending, goals, and debt. If a category is lying, the page makes it confess. Pick one 15-minute money appointment each week. Same day, same drink, same playlist. Check balances. Look at upcoming bills. Move what needs moving. Stop anything weird. Boo calls it the Friday Financial Summit. Attendance is mandatory. The dress code is sweatpants. The summit once discovered 3 charges for the same cloud storage service because apparently Boo had been protecting the same 12 photos in triplicate. A steady monthly budget can fail people with irregular income. Tips, commissions, freelance work, seasonal hours, and gig income do not arrive on command. In that case, build a plan around a conservative baseline rather than the best month. When a strong month arrives, refill the buffer, cover taxes if they apply, fund upcoming essentials, and only then expand flexible spending. When a weak month arrives, the baseline already knows what stays and what pauses. Boo stops treating every big invoice like permanent wealth. The money enters wearing 4 name tags before it is allowed near the restaurant district. Debt is a tool, not a personality test. A loan can support education, equipment, housing, or a business asset. It can also finance something that loses value while the interest keeps growing. The label, good debt, is too simple. Ask 4 questions. What does it cost in total? Is the payment safe inside the budget? What happens if income drops? And does the purchase create lasting value or useful capacity? If the answer depends on everything going perfectly, it is not a plan, it is fan fiction. Months later, Boo pays off the final card. He walks outside, the air is lighter, birds sing, his shoulders rise. Then he sees it. The newest phone, $0 down, easy monthly payments. The villain has returned. Boo reaches for the door, stops, and checks the 4 questions. His current phone works. The upgrade does not create income. The payment would erase his buffer. He walks away, emotionally wounded but financially undefeated. Boo did not become rich overnight. He did something more useful. He created margin. A surprise no longer becomes instant panic. A raise no longer disappears without permission. A bill is still annoying, but it is not a jump scare. Money confidence is not knowing every economic term. It is knowing what your next dollar is supposed to do, what can hurt the plan, and what action comes next. A monthly total can look fine while the timing is a mess. Rent leaves on the 1st. Insurance leaves on the 3rd. The paycheck arrives on the 5th. On paper, Boo has enough. On Tuesday, he has a problem. Put income dates and due dates on one cash flow calendar. If a company allows a due date change, ask whether moving it closer to payday would help. Keep a small checking cushion for timing errors. Boo is not losing money now. He is losing a game of musical chairs played by automatic payments. Some expenses are fixed only because nobody has asked a question lately. Review insurance, phone, internet, software, and service plans. Compare options. Ask about a lower tier, a retention offer, or removing features you do not use. Do not cancel protection you genuinely need just to make 1 month look pretty. Boo discovers he has been paying for premium roadside assistance on a car that already includes roadside assistance. He was protected from the same flat tire by two separate organizations. The tire felt extremely safe. Late fees, overdrafts, and penalty rates are money paid for nothing you wanted. Set reminders before due dates. Keep autopay only where the account can reliably support it. If a payment may fail, contact the company before the deadline instead of hoping the calendar becomes compassionate. Also protect personal information. A fake debt collector, a fake relief company, or a message demanding instant payment can turn fear into a second loss. Verify who is contacting you and use official account channels before sharing information or sending money. Boo used to judge progress by one number: the checking balance on payday. That number was a costume. Better signals are simple. Fixed costs as a share of take-home pay, how many essential weeks the buffer covers, total high-interest balance, and how much remains after required bills. Track the same few measures each month. A small improvement is real even when the finish line is far away. Boo's debt did not vanish, but the interest-bearing balance is falling, the buffer is rising, and panic has stopped setting the meeting agenda. A plan with zero joy usually becomes a short plan. Keep a reasonable amount for fun and spend it without guilt because the essential jobs are already covered. The goal is not to become the richest person in an empty room. It is to make today livable without stealing constantly from tomorrow. Boo chooses one restaurant night he actually enjoys instead of 5 delivery orders he barely remembers. The spending is visible, planned, and worth it. Money is allowed to create a good life. It just should not create 6 identical payments by accident. Finally, ask the rude question: what breaks if income drops for 1 month? What if rent rises? What if the car needs work? You cannot predict every event, but you can find the weakest link before it snaps. Run a simple stress test. Pause flexible categories on paper. Check the buffer. Identify who you would call and which payment options you would ask about. Boo practices the bad month while the month is still imaginary. That is not pessimism, it is rehearsal, and rehearsal makes panic much less talented. Here is the whole system. Track the categories that are actually squeezing you. Keep fixed costs from swallowing every raise. Learn the rate and minimum on every debt. Build a small emergency buffer. If you are in trouble, list everything and call early. Choose avalanche or snowball. Stop new leaks. Automate the boring wins. Review the system once a week. That is how a paycheck stops being a magic trick and starts becoming a plan. You do not need a rich parent, a perfect economy, or a monk's relationship with takeout. You need a little margin, a few honest numbers, and rules that work when motivation leaves the building. Boo is now saving automatically, reviewing weekly, and making excellent decisions. Mostly. He did buy the bread maker back from the person he sold it to, but this time he paid cash, progress.